The JSE remained strong on Tuesday, tracking firmer US and European markets as investors remain hopeful that the Federal Reserve will deliver interest rate cuts this year. And for a look at how markets opened, we're now joined by portfolio manager at Rand Swiss, Gary Booysen. Gary, good morning and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
What's driving markets in early trade?
Yeah, so we look slightly weaker at the moment. And I think we've had, I suppose, a little bit of a recovery from fairly weak a fairly weak month. So we've got the all share index down around a third of 1%. It's being led lower by the resource index, and we're seeing big declines in the likes of the oil price as well. So the Brent crude oil price back down to around $82 a barrel. Even as we do seem to see tensions escalating in the Middle East. So this, for me, really comes down to probably more growth concerns. We've obviously got this narrative that interest rates are going to be higher for longer. We came into the year expecting around 5 interest rate cuts, and it looks probable that we will get probably 1 this year, maybe 2, maybe none. So the expectations have changed dramatically in terms of the cost of money, and there is an expectation that we are going to see growth slowing a little bit. So that's probably why you're seeing a little bit of weakness in the resource sector. We've obviously had a big recovery in the South African rand against the US dollar. We were down in the 1840s at one point, which we haven't seen in a long time. That, as the risk-off feeling kind of bleeds back into markets. Now we've got the rand dollar back at 1856 currently. So a little bit of I suppose negativity creeping into the market now after a good couple of days of recovery.
Massmart will soon pilot mini macro stores as effective replacements for game outlets and malls. No surprises there. Are they looking to take on rival Checkers 6060?
I don't know if anyone can take on rival Checkers 6060. That business is just absolutely incredible, and I think Massmart, which is no longer listed, it has to do something. The kind of big box format of macro does seem to be doing fairly well, but the game store's not doing well at all. And this idea of piloting these at least 3,000 square meter stores versus their kind of traditional 12,000 square meter stores is to try and get closer to their customers. The problem is 6060 is way ahead of them. 6060, it's already in your house. It's on an app, it's in your pocket on a phone. And I think it just speaks to, it is a plan to try and tackle 6060, absolutely. But I think the nature of retail is changing so rapidly. And we've got the likes of PDD through Timo coming into the country and gamifying shopping. We've got a lot of, even in the more traditional retail space, shopping centers, etc. We've got a lot of foreign entrants coming into the market as well. Potentially Amazon is coming in. And that's also going to, even provide a big competitor to Takealot. So a lot happening in the retail space, and I think you really have to be at the top of your game. It's got to be a technology-driven strategy. People are more comfortable buying online and having product goods at least delivered to their homes. So we'll see how this works out for Massmart. Unfortunately, shareholders can no longer buy the stock, but definitely as customers, we look at the story with interest.
AB InBev Q1 2024 results are out. Help us make sense of these numbers.
So the stock price up around 5%. So very, very good numbers. So remember, AB InBev, I think they serve about 1 in 3 beers worldwide. So it's an absolutely enormous multinational company, and because of it is a mature company, you don't expect the revenue or the earnings numbers to really shoot the lights out. It's not a growth company; it is a mature company. So we had revenue up 2.6%, which was in line with expectations. But in terms of volume sales, much better than expected, and I think that's where you're seeing the lift in the share price. If you look at the underlying territories, part of this was helped by spirits-based drinks. So it's not just beer, because one of the big competitors to a brewer is of course all the rest of the alcohol delivery mechanisms, which now come in cans and can be consumed in a similar fashion. But looking at the underlying geographies, Mexico, Brazil, South Africa, very, very good. Moving from strength to strength there. Really struggling in Asia Pacific and North America specifically, where one of their brands, of course, Budweiser Light, is affected by an ongoing boycott of the brand, and it's actually lost its #1 spot in the US as the US's preferred beer. So struggling a little bit in North America, but nothing that I think the market didn't understand. And as you can see, share price up 5% on the back of this nice rand hedge counter. And I think with a stronger currency, maybe some fund managers having a look at this and saying, nice time to go offshore by buying something like AB InBev on the local exchange.
Cash-strapped Tongaat Hewlett suffered a setback after the High Court in Durban denied it leave to appeal against its November judgment that it pay levies due to the SA Sugar Association. What happens now?
Oh, whenever you've got a company like Tongaat Hewlett, I mean, we've kind of gone through the story a number of times. Accounting irregularities and fraud, have really, destroyed this company. And what happens now in business rescue, it's essentially all the creditors. And there's, there were more than 1,000 creditors of Tongaat. They're really trying to look at what's left of essentially the carcass. And it's the vultures picking at it at this stage. And everyone trying to get, the business rescue plan set aside, trying to vie for their own personal interests. But the fact is that Tongaat owes, almost 10 billion rand. And now it's about trying to come up with a plan that satisfies the creditors and what kind of haircuts they're going to take to try and make this continue as a viable enterprise. Now, in terms of SASA, they're owed around 500 million, so a significant portion of the whole debt. And of course, the court overturning this and saying that you can't dismiss this. This is a cost of doing business, and they do need to get paid. So it makes it more difficult for the rest of the creditors, but obviously good for the South African Sugar Association.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.